Welcome to Anita the Pedagogue channel. Today, we continue with our literature lessons. We want to look at a poetry analysis of a poem titled A Minor Bird. Let's take a look at our objectives for today. We will look at a short biography of the poet Robert Frost, the title, the structure of the poem, the stanza by stanza analysis. We'll look at some literary devices in the poem, the themes, some trial questions, and a quick recap. Let's begin with a biography of the poet. Robert Frost. He was an American poet and winner of 4 Pulitzer Prizes. His famous works include Fire and Ice, Mending Wall, Birches. His 1916 poem, The Road Not Taken, is often read at graduation ceremonies across the United States. As a special guest at President John F. Kennedy's inauguration, Frost became a poetic force and the unofficial poet laureate of the United States. Frost spent his first 40 years as an unknown. He exploded on the scene after returning from England at the beginning of the First World War. He died later of complications from prostate surgery on January 29, 1963. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the title, A Minor Bird. The title of the poem gives us an indication the poem will likely be about a bird. The issue of significance here, however, is the use of the adjective minor, which has been used to describe the bird in question. Minor, as used in this poem, indicates the bird is irrelevant, unimportant, or invaluable. The title also suggests the mindset of humans towards other creatures in the universe. Some people belittle or disregard other creatures or nature. Also, the title A Minor Bird can be seen as actually an Asian and Australasian starling that typically has dark plumage, gregarious behavior, and a loud call. That is a minor bird. Let's continue and take a look at the poem A Minor Bird. I have wished a bird would fly away and not sing by my house all day. Have clapped my hands at him from the door when it seemed as if I could bear no more. The fault must partly have been in me. The bird was not to blame for his key. And of course, there must be something wrong in wanting to silence any song. A Minor Bird. Such a beautiful poem. This poem is a 4-stanza poem with couplets making 8 lines. So it's made of couplets because we see 2 lines in each stanza, and that total to 8 lines. It has been written in the first-person narrative style. The diction are simple and easy to understand, and the 2 lines in each stanza rhyme. So there are end rhymes. If you look at the first 2 lines, the end words for the first line, away, rhymes with day in the second line. Let's take a look at the structure of the poem. It is a 4-stanza poem with 6 lines which rhyme in couplets. That is, the end words in 2 lines in each stanza rhyme. The rhyme scheme is A, B, B, C, C, D, D, and this shows that the poem has a regular pattern. Each line begins with a capital letter, although there are only 4 complete sentences in the poem. The diction are simple and easy to understand, and the images in the words appeal to our sense of sight and hearing. Let's continue on and look at the analysis of the poem. Let's begin with stanza 1, which says, I have wished a bird would fly away and not sing by my house all day. So in stanza 1, the poem begins in the first-person narrative I, where the speaker hopes that a bird which has been singing by his house all day, will fly away on its own. Usually, when things bother people, the wish is for things to resolve on their own. There has been countless times people have wished things happening in the universe or nature turned in their favor. However, nature has its own way of going about things. Humans, as we know, are most of the time selfish. And so, it is not a surprise that the speaker wishes this bird will fly away and not sing, making noise in his ears all day. Let's take a look at the second stanza. In stanza 2, the speaker takes an action against the bird. Have clapped my hands at him, trying to drive away this bird. The disturbance of the song of the bird irritates or annoys the speaker so much that he attempts to sack it from his house, due to how unbearable his song was. Well, let's remember we are all God's creation on earth, but from the scenario here, it is realized that humans want to have their way. They look at their interests even if it poses as a disadvantage for other creatures, like the bird in question. The speaker claps his hand at the bird to send it away. An example of how humans displace nature instead of caring for nature, and how we are against people who are not doing things in our favor. Sometimes we tend to retaliate, and we see the speaker clap his hands to drive the bird away. In the third stanza, the speaker comes back to himself after a possible self-reflection. After clapping his hands at the bird, in stanza 3, he sits down to think through it, and having realized how wrong his decision to drive away the singing bird was, he realizes the bird is a part of nature, and the bird should not be blamed for its singing. He admits that his actions are partly wrong. He realizes that the bird has no wrong for his key, and key as used here refers to the tone or pitch of someone's voice. In this sense, it refers to the pitch or the song of the bird. People should be tolerant of others. Just as the speaker sits down, reflects and realizes that the singing or the noise from the bird is not the fault of the bird, but it could be that he is rather at fault. Also, the strong or powerful should not suppress the weak because they have an upper hand, like we see with the speaker and his actions against the bird. Definitely, he is more powerful or stronger than the bird, so he tries to bully or send the bird away. And so in life, we should realize that we should be tolerant of others and not try to oppose those who are weaker. In the final stanza, the speaker is more remorseful for trying to drive away the bird, as he asserts that there must be something wrong in wanting to silence any song, which we see in lines 7 and 8. Perhaps the bird was enjoying the song or his singing, but the speaker chose to equally clap, and the noise from the clap can be considered as noise as well for the bird. Now, in society, it is very easy to feel selfish and want things to be on your terms and to go in your favor. In achieving this, what most people do is that those from the upper class or higher class, or with the upper hand, look down on others. They belittle them or put them down in their quest to achieve the things that pleases them. Let's take a look at the literary devices in the poem. There has been the use of alliteration, the repetition of the initial consonant sounds in words. So in line 1 we see wished and would, the repetition of W, woo. Also in line 3, hands and him, the repetition of the sound H, h. Also line 6 we see the repetition of B in bird and blame. And in line 8, we see the sound S being repeated in silence and song. Also, there is a use of symbolism. The bird, as used, can be said to represent a minority in society or the oppressed. There has also been the use of assonance, the repetition of vowel sounds. So we see by and my. I has been repeated. We see that in line 2. Also, there has been the use of personification, and we see that in line 3. Have clapped my hands at him. Where clapping my hands at him refers to the bird, and human qualities has been given to the bird is referred to as a male him. Also, the bird was not to blame for his key. Here as well, the bird is considered or seen as a person with a tone or a pitch. Also, there has been the use of onomatopoeia, clapped. Onomatopoeia is the imitation of sounds. Also, there has been the use of rhyme. The 2 lines in each stanza rhyme. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, B, C, C, D, D. So we have 4 sets of rhyming words: away and day, door and more, me and key, and wrong and song, respectively. Now let's take a look at the themes. The first theme I would like us to look at is appreciation of nature. Appreciate nature. Humans are expected to care for nature. In the poem, the speaker mistreats the bird, which forms a part of nature. If he appreciated nature enough, even though he wished the bird would fly away, he would have tolerated it and not just clapped to drive it away. And so in life, it is expected that we are able to treat nature well in all our dealings. The second theme I would like us to look at is we must be tolerant and avoid discrimination. The speaker sought to silence the bird due to his singing, as it was singing off key or unpleasantly. However, after clapping to drive it away, he realizes his fault and the need to be tolerant of the bird. Many times people discriminate against others due to the fact they are not the same kind as them. And we see that with the bird and the speaker. Instead, there is a need for humans to accept one another and treat nature well and with tolerance. The third theme I would like us to look at is we must first examine ourselves before blaming others. The speaker, after his unacceptable actions against the bird, thought and realized he was at fault. He was apologetic. The speaker also accepted blame and did not accuse the bird of noise making. He rather realized the need to be tolerant. It is therefore important to examine the actions we take and not blame others for everything that happens. Well, these are some trial questions after you have listened to the whole analysis. Let's go through them quickly. What is the structure of the poem A Minor Bird? Identify the use of personification in the poem. What does the speaker admit in A Minor Bird? Why was the speaker annoyed? What irritated him the most? How did he try to solve the problem? In the beginning, whose fault did the speaker think it was? Whose fault did he think it was later? Explain one theme of the poem. This brings us to the end of the poem A Minor Bird. A quick recap of the poem. We have looked at the title, the structure, its analysis, the literary devices in there, and the themes. There are other lessons from us on the channel that you can take a look at. I hope this lesson was useful to you. Please put in your comments and questions and I'll respond to them. Do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Until I come your way again, keep learning and be the best version of yourself.